I know we're engaged, but I don't know if I can commit to marriage. There's a lot of things stacked against it.
I just called your sister. I just wanted to have a conversation with her about...
But we talk about this.
Yeah.
And I thought you're not ready.
No, but it was on my mind. She is having a barbecue with Sandra's ex-partner, and I wanted to understand why.
Will you marry me?
Are you sick?
There it is.
Give me my grandchild.
I don't have 2 minutes to eat my food and I'm already getting grilled about having kids. It's a lot of pressure for me and little me.
It was just an innocent chat between me and the taxi driver, and I don't feel like we should give up over something so silly.
The reason I don't want you anymore. What you want?
I've been in your life for 2 years. We have ups and downs and
Go.
grow up. You can't tell me to go.
Go. I can't talk anymore.
You are fake. You are fake.
This episode was a reminder that no matter how much we want something to work, if it's not for us, it is not for us. And we've all been there, right? It's tough. It's hard to accept that something is not for you when you really want it. It's hard to accept that your loved ones that warned you were right. We've all been at that place where we want to look past the red flags because we see the potential. I'm closing my eyes because it is just so painful. But in most cases, when we push through all of that, we end up going home brokenhearted, having to face all of our loved ones that are fighting the urge to say, I told you so. It is so humbling. We have a lot to talk about. Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. We are here to discuss 90 Day Fiancé UK. It's a stacked recap because all of the couples that I cover were in this episode. So before we get into it, as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all, we're going to start this off with Phin and Sandra just because it's been a minute since we've seen them. So if you guys recall, Sandra is in the UK. Okay, and things were tense because she told him that Eloise, her sister, was going to throw a barbecue back home in Brazil and her baby daddy was invited. She's only said it once that this is the father of her kids. For the most part, they just keep referring to him as an ex. But I think the fact that he was the father of her kids is a big deal and very important to the context. He's not just some regular ex. This is a guy that has children with her, has been close with her family. They still have sustained those friendships. He's going to be involved. And Phin, in my opinion, has not done a great job in building a relationship with her family. So he is majorly in his head about it. And when we see them, they're on the way to meet his mom. And she's like, okay, so we're not going to fight today, right? Like, you're not going to embarrass me, right? That was the unspoken part. And the thing is, I'm still confused on the timing of the barbecue. I don't know if it's going to happen when Sandra's there or if it's going to happen in her absence. But regardless, I think that if you are going to have a future with Sandra, you're going to have to wrap your head around the fact that she has children and these children come with a father, and that's what a blended family is all about. How you guys figure that out, you can work it out. But to be like it's him or me is insane. Especially when you have barely committed to this woman. Especially when you're repulsed at the idea of being a stepdad. I am so over Phin. And he's in this car ride being like, you know, I would feel much better if I spoke to Eloise. And Sandra's like, why do you have to talk to my sister? That's unnecessary. No, I don't want you to do that. And I can totally see how some people would be thrown off by that, by her resistance and wanting him to communicate with Eloise. But I think she knows her audience. She knows how unlikable Phin is. And she also knows that her sister is a hard ass and she's not gonna stray away from hurting his feelings because she does not like him. Sandra has also made it clear that she doesn't care what anybody thinks. If she wants to be in this relationship, she is. And I believe her. So they get to his mother's house and he wastes 0 seconds to be like, yeah, I'm trying to get, you know, Sandra to move to London, but I'm failing. And both Sandra and his mom are like, well, she has kids, so you'll probably need to move to Brazil, maybe learn the language. And clearly everyone with sense in the room has the same idea. And so this is count number 1 of him putting her in uncomfortable situations where they've already talked out that she's not going to move to London. She has made it clear. And the way that he's trying to like set her up so she could like, I don't know, maybe please his mom. Luckily, his mom has a brain. Why would you bring up a conversation that's already been resolved on her end and do it in front of your mom? It's very weird. And again, I will never respect this man for the way that he treats her kids like an afterthought, like an inconvenience. And I blame Sandra for that too. I'm repulsed. I am continually grossed out by this guy because as Sandra is trying to bond with his mother, he escapes the room and calls Eloise. The exact thing that Sandra told him not to do. But he's like, I'm gonna call Eloise because I feel like, you know, she's trying to sway Sandra. And here's the thing. I think that Eloise and Sandra are close, but I don't think Eloise is controlling Sandra in any way. Because if Eloise had her way, Sandra would be in Brazil. She would have been left him. And as for the baby daddy being invited to family events, you barely committed to this girl. And even if you were committed, you can't force your way into her family's heart. That's not how that works. You have to earn it. So he's calling Eloise with that smug face, and she's like, you wanted to talk to me? Like, okay. And so immediately, Eloise gets on the phone. She has this smirk because she does not like this man, but she's like, how can I help you? And he's like, well, you know, I feel sad that you would invite him to family events when I'm Sandra's partner. And Eloise is like, well, first of all, let's backtrack. Him and my husband are friends, and they decided to throw this barbecue. Am I supposed to say no to my husband?
I was walking with my husband, and they met, and they invited each other to have a barbecue. What did you want me to do? Say no to my husband? A friend. And I think that you're jealous.
And Phin, who has barely committed to this lady and her kids and her family and has learned nothing in Portuguese, nods his head like, yeah, I do expect you to say no to your husband for me. Can you believe that? And Eloise practically laughs in this guy's face. She's like, Phin, you're just jealous.
Wow, he's still getting inside her mind, getting inside her family's mind. How can he not be if he's going around having barbecue at your house? He's still a big part of your whole family.
And he's like, do you want her to get back with him? And she's like, no, I don't, because she loves you. She doesn't love him. But let's be real. You guys aren't really going to go anywhere because you're never going to marry her. You're never going to leave the UK to move to Brazil. You've barely learned the language. And he's like, oh, really? And you could see the petty wheels turning, okay? He's like, oh, really? Okay. And I don't know if the conversation ended and they didn't show us how it ended, or if he just hung up on her. Then he had this like sinister smile. He goes out to where Sandra and his mother are, and he's like, yeah, I just called Eloise. And Sandra is trying to keep it together in front of his mother, but she's like, I specifically told you not to. And his mom is like, what happened?
But we talk about this.
Yeah.
And I thought was you're not ready.
No, but it was on my mind, and I thought the time was right.
Why did you phone?
She is having a barbecue with Sandra's ex-partner.
And so he decides, again, to make her uncomfortable and share their private matters to his mother, being like, yeah, they want to bring her ex around. And, you know, if it was the other way around, I feel like Sandra would feel betrayed because I feel betrayed. You know, I didn't use that word, but that's how I feel.
And I wanted to understand why. It's quite upsetting. Because if the shoe was on the other foot and you were having some wine and cheese with my ex-partner, Sandra might feel betrayed is the word I'd use.
I do believe that her family should have a level of respect for him, right, as Sandra's partner. And I'm not sure all the way if Eloise ever really said that she wanted Sandra to be back with the stepdad. I don't know if Sandra just told Phin that to be toxic, like basically to like put some fire under his butt to propose. But ultimately, she's chosen him. Ultimately, she's in the UK for however long, away from her children. She has told him that she wants a future with him. All of this extra stuff, I think, is a stalling method for him to not really be committed in the way that she needs. And so he's being passive aggressive in this interaction, and he's like, yeah, she has doubts about our relationship, but I'm gonna prove her wrong. And she's like, Okay. And I already knew that he was going to be up to some BS. Y'all, when I tell you, I'm not for making a scene, even though I'm a dramatic person. When it comes to anger and like personal relationships, I'm not about to make a spectacle of myself in public. And especially when it's like a partner, I think the term is triangulate. I don't like when they triangulate like your loved ones. So your loved ones then feel uncomfortable and feel like they have to choose a side. And someone always looks bad in that. Like, I hate when people do that. It's unnecessary pressure on all sides. And he seems like he gets a kick out of it. But I just think that it's in such poor taste to set your partner up like that. Like, don't you want your mother to have the best impression of her? But you're doing all of this because of your shortcomings. Like, it's pathetic. So things are clearly not okay. And the next day we see her, she tells us that they had a big old fight when they got back to his place because obviously he was out of line. She calls Eloise and Sandra tells Eloise, I was really upset that he called you and I really just want to go home right now. And Eloise is like, yeah, then come. Like, Eloise is just done with this guy. But really, he is focused on all of the wrong things as opposed to working towards a future together. And I don't find any of the things that he does sincere, including the upcoming scene. So Eloise has a big old smile being like, come back home. And Sandra's like, that sounds good right about now. They cut to the confessional. Sandra's in tears and she's been like cool as a cucumber for all of this season. But she breaks down because she has invested so much of herself. She has gone against everyone that has told her this is not the guy for you. So she feels a bit defeated, you know, after that incident. But he tells her that he wants her to go to his radio job. So she's like, okay, I'm going to go and see what happens, see if we talk. We see before she gets there that he's on air telling folks, yeah, I'm going to propose to my long distance girlfriend. I do not like when we have a fight and then you're like, oh, how are you? Like, you know what happened. You know what happened between us. I don't like the small talk. And I think it is diabolical that he would have this plan of a proposal while things are so tense between them. Again, I think that that is straight up manipulation. But the layer of him wanting to do it live on air so that if she says no, she looks like the craziest villain ever, diabolical. So she arrives, she has no idea what's happening. She's thinking that she's just gonna come here and shadow him at work, but all of a sudden a mic is there. He's asking her to speak into it.
I really need something from you. Would you like to do a quick thing on the radio?
He wants me to speak on live radio. I really don't want to be here right now.
Well, you won't have to do a lot of talking. I'll do most of the talking, as I do in this relationship. But
and he comes up with some crazy concept of like him being able to say what his bucket list wish is. In the confessional, she's like, something's off because why would he act like nothing's wrong? Why is he acting like everything's normal? And this guy opens up a ring box and is like, will you marry me? And he's like, you'll have to put it on yourself because I can't get past this microphone. I'm married to the microphone. And she's like, are you sick? Because what? What do you mean you're going to propose to me? And like we have all of this unspoken drama. They're not agreeing on where to live. He hates her kids. He hasn't learned the language. He hates her family. Her family hates him. Does that sound like happily ever after to you? I think the F not. And so it leaves at a cliffhanger. Here's the thing. Predictions. As angry as she is, I can believe a world where she would say yes, just because she has been begging for the ring. And I think that she likes the idea of being married and settled with him. But then the preview leads me to believe that maybe it's a no. So I would love to know what you guys think. Now, as for Phin, I think that him proposing after an argument, I've said it and I'll repeat it, it is diabolical. 2, I think doing it on air screams manipulation, screams control tactic. And 3, all of this was to prove Eloise wrong. This isn't some heartfelt proposal. Eloise told him, you're never gonna get married. You're never gonna commit. Like, that's just not who you are. You're not gonna move here. And so he's doing this not because the woman that he loves has told him that that's the next step that she needs. No, he's doing it to have a pissing contest with her sister and possibly to have that as the upper hand when he says, I don't want that man at family functions. But here's the thing. Fiance, husband, it doesn't matter. That is the father of her kids. He's going to be present. So all of this is the biggest shit show ever. We're going to move on now to Ebrima and Zena. So we pick up at their proposal, okay? And she does say yes. I think she's caught up in the moment. He's like, I'm the happiest man alive. Sure you are. And they're kissing and they're happy. And then they go to a restaurant. And as she's like being seated, I think she's settling down with the idea of, oh, wait, do I really want to do this? And immediately in her confessional, she's like, I have a lot of doubts. I want to make sure he really loves me and he's not just trying to be with me to go to the UK like all of my family thinks. So she asks him, what do you want? Like, how do you want to, like what's next for us? And he's like, oh, well, I would love to marry you in the UK. And she's like, damn it. And she's like swallowing that red flag. And she's like, UK?
What do you expect for the future?
I want to marry with you in the UK.
And where would you prefer to live?
I prefer in the UK, yeah.
I get the optics, but at the same time, Zena, you've been taking care of him and his family. The only difference would be that you would do it in the UK and it would be a little more expensive. Your pound probably doesn't expand as much as it does in Gambia, but the act of you taking care of him, you're already doing that. And Ebrima looks like he's a hard worker, so if anything, I think that why not have the opportunity to make your own coin and have him send money to the family and you'll have to send less. I don't know. And so as he's talking about all the plans, she is slurping that drink so hard. She is throwing it back. She's spiraling because she knows how this will look to her family. And so he's ready to seal the deal. So he's like, yeah, so we have to tell your family as soon as possible. She's like, about that, they're going to be concerned because they do believe that you're just using me to get to the UK. And he's like, oh, well, I'm fine wherever we live, whether it's the UK or Gambia. She's like, oh, you're happy anywhere? He's like, yeah. I think he's going to say whatever he needs to say to make sure that they get married. And she's appearing happy and understanding in person. But in the back of her mind, she's like, that's suspicious. My theory is that she definitely wants to still be with Ebrima, but she does not want to lose her vacation stay. She likes being able to fly here separate from her family. They don't get to judge it as much because they don't see it with their own eyeballs. And she gets to have her D. She gets to have her cheap cocktails. She gets to be on the beach. And when she's had her fix, she goes back home. I don't think that she wants to end this vacation. So she leaves this dinner being like, I have a lot to think about. And think she did. Because then the next day, it's her final day. They're by the beach. And he's like, ugh, I hate this day. I hate when you have to leave. But hopefully I'll see you soon. AKA, you're going to get me that visa, right? And she looks at him and she's like, I have something to tell you, but don't hate me. I love you. I want to be with you, but I just cannot commit to marriage. And he is trying to hold it together, but he's disappointed. Because why accept the proposal? You didn't have to do that. You could have been like, oh, let's talk about it. But you took the ring, you said yes, you're making all these plans, and in less than 24 hours, you're just like, And she's allowed to change her mind. I just feel like she's not being truthful about her intentions, just as he's not being truthful. But she does recount all of the moments where she has questioned him. The fact that she, thinks that he has kids. He was married to the sister. The Facebook thing. There's a lot of reasons why she doesn't trust him. And I do think she's playing this up for the show because I just have a hard time believing that she is so aloof that she wouldn't grasp the fact that she is in a transactional relationship. She is a sugar mama. And I think they're trying to stretch it for visa purposes, but she's getting the D, he's getting the coin. It's very obvious to me, but he's trying to hide the disappointment. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to talk to my family first and see, how they feel. Yeah. Thank you so much for understanding. And she walks off. And when she leaves, he just crouches on the table because he thought that he had this in the bag. And here's the thing. The minute she tells her family that he wants to get married, they're going to chain her to the bed so she never goes back to Gambia because Like I've said, word on the street is she's had a few Gambian husbands, allegedly. So she can't be trusted in this region. But finally, it's time for her to leave. He tells her he loves her and he makes her promise that she's going to convince her family that he is the one for her, to believe in their love. And she's like,
About your family. So when you go, you have to try to convince them they can accept our marriage, man.
I will, I promise. In a couple of days, once I'm home settled and I'm counting all the icicles on the window, and then I'll go out and then I'll go to my family and see them.
And they say their goodbyes and they're, tearful, but I think she's really happy with the setup that they currently have. I don't think she has any interest in marrying that man. We're gonna move on to Shorna and Adnan because y'all, this ended exactly how I expected it to. So reminder, when we last saw them, she decided that she wanted to do some heavy kissing, heavy petting with him as a way to soothe some of that, sexual energy and tension. She obviously cannot go all the way because of her religion, but she didn't want to lose him. So she was willing to bend a little bit. And so when they pan to their segment this week, the vibes are completely different. She is going to a hotel because apparently they got into a big fight and they can't even be together. And when she gets to the hotel, we learn a little more of what happened. She calls her friend. She fills in her friend on the tea. Apparently they were in a cab. They spotted someone that had gotten one of those hair transplants, and one of her friends wants to get that. So she was like, oh my God, look. And then her cab driver said, oh, I got the same thing. So she got the cab driver's number to be able to send it to her friend, to have them in contact with each other. I don't think that she needed to get that guy's number. She could have just asked what was the doctor's name, the hospital, whatever. But that's the way that she went about it. She went about it in front of Adnan. There was nothing shady about it. That's just what she did. Well, apparently, Adnan was like, did you ask for my permission to get that guy's number? Imagine thinking that someone needs to ask you permission for something. But there's also something extra humiliating of a 25-year-old telling that to a 40-something-year-old and her being submissive at all to that. Shorna, get up. Get up. So she probably was trying to explain herself, and he was like, why would you do that? And he told her to F off, and he was yelling her in the van outside, it was a scene. And his excuse for talking to her that way was that he's stressed out, and your stress is your business. You don't get to treat people however you want just because you're having a bad day. That goes along with his immaturity. And we've seen instances of it before which felt like they were earned, but that was not earned. I think that is his machismo flared up. But still, Shorna is so determined to make it work. She's so she calls this man. Remember when they didn't talk for a month and she was the one that had to initiate? Yeah, same thing here. She calls him. He ignores the call. He writes to her and is like, I never want to see you. Don't call me again. This girl came all the way to Albania to be with you. She knows no one here. She is by herself. At least have the decency to have some decorum, have some respect when you speak to her. Is your masculinity that fragile? The answer is yes. But Shorna, who has the patience of literally a saint, I don't know if it's patience, I don't know if it goes along with her delusion, but she's like, I have invested 2 years. We shouldn't break up for something so stupid. Shorna, you can't sustain a relationship by yourself. This man wastes zero time in showing you how disposable you are to him when he is upset. That speaks volumes. And in general, I don't think that should have been an argument at all. I feel really bad for her in this scene, but she somehow gets him to agree to meet up, or maybe it was the other way around. I'm not sure. But she goes back to the Airbnb that he had reserved for them, and she's coming in real serene. He has a stank attitude, she needs to be apologizing to him. Because when they get to the table, he's like, do you have something to say? He has his nose up, he's so self-righteous. And so very softly, very gently, she explains what happened in the cab, that she just wanted to get that information for her friend, to connect him to the cab driver. She was never trying to be disrespectful. She wasn't trying to initiate something with the cab driver. And the whole time that she's talking, this guy is giving her nasty looks and being like, It's obvious that he's trying to be intimidating. And I wanted to drag Shorna out of there because you could just tell when someone doesn't want to listen to reason, they want to be upset. When someone wants to be upset, there's nothing you can do to fix that. She was like, I can't believe that you were just shouting at me and telling me to F off. And he was like, I can't accept that. We're just not meant to be together. And she's like, listen, I don't want this conversation to be agitated. And he's like, I don't want you anymore. The way that he says it, it's like daggers. He wants to hurt her. And here's the thing. You only get to tell me you don't want me once. And this lady is like, don't say that. She's like, don't say that. He's literally smiling and looking at her like she's nothing. Like, I don't want you. What do you want? And she's like, Adnan, we've been together for 2 years. And he's like, go. And she's like, I'm not leaving. The humiliation. And she's trying really, really hard not to lose her cool, but he is pushing buttons. You know what? I'm not trying to be with you anymore. I'm basically trying to honor the relationship that we had and ending this in an amicable way. And I think she says something like, the ship has sailed, and he starts mocking the saying and then saying random sayings on his own. And with everything that he says, it's just agitating her more because he's playing in her face.
It's not to get back together. That ship has sailed. We both understand the assignment.
You wish, but you can't.
I don't want to be with you, Adnan. Are you listening to me?
Or you,
Ship, sail, gone, bye-bye. It's over between us.
I catch a fish in a sea. I catch a fish in a sea. You understand?
And she's like, you know what? This has shown me who you really are. It has popped the bubble for me. And he starts like cutting her off, and you could see her, it's building. And she calls him fake, and he calls her a snake. And she's like, you're a user, you're fake. And he's like, what did I use you for? And he's like twitching with rage. And she's like, you know what? I am okay with us hugging goodbye. He's like, why would I hug you? A fake hug? Why would I want that? And she's like, you're calling me fake? And I don't know why, out of all of the horrible things that he said, that was the thing that set her off. But she got up, she threw a glass of water at him and made her way out.
Fake? Adnan, why do you call me fake?
I can't talk anymore.
You are fake. You are fake.
And I was like, you know what? I've never done that. It's very much a telenovela move. And I love when people do it on reality TV shows. I know that's not like nice, but I feel like that was earned. I feel like he was being real nasty. And I think that she really gave him a lot of grace. There's a lot that I feel like she did wrong, right? I called it out in the beginning. But at the end of the day, I think that she wanted to love this guy. And he wanted one thing. And he revealed the truth, you know? But I feel bad because she really expected a mature breakup. And she was never going to get that. Not with him. And I say that because I don't believe that he ever loved her. I think that the foundation of their relationship was sex. And she removed that without telling him, which I thought was wrong. And she came here with ulterior motives, wanting to drag him to a proposal, to marriage. And it's just not something that he planned on doing. And I also think that the reason he stuck around for so long was because she was a challenge to him, and he wanted to see if he could get her to betray herself and God for him. He stopped caring. It's so easy to let her go when he's no longer invested. He didn't have to keep up with the act, and you know what? Good riddance. It sucks to get heartbroken, but literally everyone told her. And I hope that this is a learning lesson, and I hope that she just gets someone that aligns with her journey. And we do learn a little bit about that. The next time we see her, she's in the UK, she's with her friend, and she is having a hard time accepting that the relationship is over, but she is happy that she was able to see the real him. And she recognizes that she really did look past all of the red flags that her family, her friends, her daughter warned her about. Specifically the fact that it was a holiday romance that she extended for far too long. I've been saying that from episode 1. So now, what's next for her? She is on one of her church's dating apps. And you know what? Hopefully that works out for her. She does say she's given up on young men. And yeah, I think that 25 was way too young for her. But we're going to move on to the final couple, Andy and Arrah. It's short and sweet, but he's married. He's now in the UK. He tells us that he's applied for the visa for Arrah, and it's been like 2 weeks. He has an email from immigration. He is nervous to open it. But when he eventually does, she's been approved. And I think that that is the quickest I've ever heard a visa process. 2 weeks? That is such a blessing. I was very happy for them. He calls Arrah. She is overjoyed. Again, night and day from that first FaceTime call that we saw. So they're both overjoyed because finally they're going to be able to start the life that they envisioned together. It starts to hit her that, oh my God, I'm going to leave my family for the first time ever. It's also hitting him. He has this pressure on him to make sure that she is happy and feels at home away from home, you know? But one thing about Andy, I think that he's up for the challenge. Unlike many other people that I feel make it seem like it's an inconvenience. I find that some people just want their partners to jump into the life that they've been leading, but it's like, no, you're bringing two people together. You're gonna have to develop a rhythm together. And I just feel like they would be a good team in that way from what we've seen. But the next time we see him, he's in the Philippines. He's with Arrah. He's been really immersed in the culture. I think that she's very adamant that he learn about her culture and spend time with her family. But I think it helps a lot that he's so openly embracing it. And we're seeing them go to the cemetery. She says that they're going to sleep there. I have never heard of anyone sleeping there. So I was like, this is an episode of Goosebumps. It sounds scary, but when they get there, it's a mausoleum. It looks like a hotel from the outside, and her family's barbecuing. And I'm like, this is a cemetery, and they pan, and there's a bunch of other families doing the same thing by their grave sites. So it's a tradition in the Philippines, which I think is beautiful. It's just new for me. I feel like every time I go to the cemetery to visit my family, I'm like weeping. It's never a moment of joy, but maybe that's a different way to think about it, to celebrate their life, you know, and to visit them as a group like that. And one thing that Andy said that I was like, he said that he's been spending so much time with her family that he's like, wow, I need to be more intentional about showing up for my family. And that is what being in a good relationship is about. Being able to be there for them, but also realizing in the ways that you want to grow or you want to be better. And I'm sure that his family would be very appreciative of that. And Arrah seems just really warm. So I can definitely see her bringing this Philippines flair back to the UK with their family. But they're all together and her mama is like, you're taking my daughter away. Like, what's your plan? Arrah's telling us that's code for grandkids. And Andy's feeling the pressure, but they definitely do want kids. And I would be down to follow their story. I don't know if the UK version has like spin-offs like Happily Ever After, but I would love to see how their story unfolds. And even the way that Arrah speaks about it, she's like, even if I'm unhappy in the UK, like I'm gonna make it happen because I love Andy. I think that's what she said, that no matter what, she's gonna make it work. And I believe her. And I also just believe that like she's been waiting for this independence as much as she wants to be with her family. I think that she has been waiting for this moment to spread her wings, and she gets to do it in love with someone. And I really do believe that they are in love. Like there's a shot of them just like away hugging and embracing, and I'm like, we've come a long way from episode 1. But the time has come. Her family takes them to the airport. They have to hug each other goodbye. It's as tearful as you'd expect. She has to say goodbye for the first time ever. But honestly, this is such a beautiful reason to leave, you know? And he seems very supportive that the minute she's able to fly back, I think that they will. Even though it's been a toll on his body, and I feel like this season, we've seen him go 3 times. He's done that travel 3 times. I hope that he goes to like a masseuse or something after those long travel days because his spine must be yelling. But I will say, I know that initially a lot of us were like, what's his deal? Does he want a caretaker? Like, you know. But I really do believe what he says, that he's independent. He's lived his life as a free spirit. He doesn't let, his disability hold him back. And I'm just really curious to see how their story unfolds. Again, this is a couple that I did not foresee to be successful just because I'm so used to the US version of 90 Day where like everyone is in it for clout. People are not genuinely in love. People have ulterior motives. And this was a very pure love story. So yeah, that's it for this recap, you guys. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I can't wait to read them. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.